Superman and Lex Luthor are probably the most well-known superhero villain combo due to the fact that Superman is easily one of, if not the most well-known superhero throughout all of comics history. Batman usually being right there next to him alongside Spider-Man. But him and Lex Luthor's relationship is honestly just something that I truly love. The way that they've set up their entire story in almost every form of media and the way that their story has kind of just basically grown and grown as comics have risen and gotten more popular and the stories have gotten more intricate. The way that they do so much things between these two characters is always so appealing to me. That is the really main reason that I actively consider Superman and Lex Luthor to be almost perfect rivals in almost any sense. The way and everything that they've considered doing throughout Smallville and all of the other Superman shows always has Lex Luthor being this perfect villain that counteracts Superman. And there's usually so many different aspects that I really truly admire and I truly love about this that I'm going to be talking about during this video that really just profile and just show you guys how much these two characters are absolutely meant to be each other's ideal perfect counterpart. Yes, Superman has villains like General Zod, Brainiac, and so many others, but Lex Luthor will always be his premier villain for a reason. Lex Luthor will always be the main person that the entirety of the world will use as a villain for his movies, TV shows, or anything like, before using anything that has superpowers or what would more characteristically known or be a more even match if you're talking about superpower standpoint. But if you guys do enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you guys can get caught up with all the latest videos. I hope you guys do enjoy this one, but let's get into it. The origins of Superman and Lex Luthor, while obviously have been changed throughout comics, have always had some very interesting aspects to it. The main aspect that I'm going to be really delving into is the timeline where they are childhood friends from an early age and basically kind of are like very, very close until the point that they become who they're destined to be, like in Smallville and like in a couple other shows that have had them be friends from an earlier on standpoint. The way that they kind of set this story up is actively so interesting to me. These two characters are destined to be each other's nemesises. They're destined to be each other's true rivals and true enemies and hate each other from the end of really till the end of time. But the fact that they started off with an actual close relationship, almost brothership, is something that you really have to take into account. Obviously, Superman's origins on his end are the fact that he is the last son of Krypton, being born and almost immediately sent into a space pod to be raised on Earth by the Kent family. He was raised like this, and we have his entire story that we've seen through countless movies and shows of him being born, raised, and becoming and gaining the superhero mantle, just trying to help out everyone. Lex obviously basically being born on the complete opposite end of this, where he is born human in this kind like with this extreme strategical mind and this extreme technical mind that allows him to do so many things that, especially if we use Smallville as an example, he really is just truly intelligent and does try to do his best at times, but is just burdened by the background of his own heritage, burdened by his own family lineage, and truly just burdened in almost every aspect of his entire life. He was raised in the world's worst environment for him to do any possible good and just kind of fell into exactly where he was basically put. Obviously, this kind of just shows you the difference between nature versus nurture because they were both raised by very two very different things and just kind of brought up into exactly where they are now, bringing in the whether you are raised the same way, like, well, obviously not raised the exact same way, but if the way that you're raised will depend on how you grow up. Lex, no matter how hard he tried to fight in something like Smallville, eventually still ended up the same way. And these two's relationship just goes from something that I honestly figured to be so close to the complete opposite sides of the spectrum and not being able to trust each other in the slightest. And obviously, it eventually gets to the point where they just don't remember, or at least don't know, that Superman and Clark Kent are the exact same person. So there is no Lex knowing Clark Kent is Superman. But the fact that him and Clark Kent could have been friends and like were friends at a point and just kind of never kind of got past the specific point in time would just be so beautiful to me, because that just story just screams so much and adds so much context to the relationship. The main thing that also very much differentiates them from who they are is their contrasting ideologies. Superman is a character that values hope, justice, and protection of almost everybody, no matter where they're from. And he always just tries his best to make sure to help every single person that he can, being this man of steel, the symbol of hope, and the person that is really and truly encompassing the entire world and vowing to protect anybody and everybody that he can, has been trying to do this for so long and usually is trying to do the right thing. Lex is somebody that usually values actually like humanism. He values the true like nature that humans don't need any help. He values this fact of having somebody like Superman to be the person to save humanity is just not good in the long run. Having to be defiant and being subservient to somebody, obviously not being subservient, but having to be dependent on somebody to come save them that isn't even a human, just makes him sick to his stomach. Like, don't get me wrong, I can understand both of their perspectives, where Superman's just trying to help the place that gave him a home, and Lex being like, we could do this ourselves, and not liking Superman for that reason. They both have their own correct viewings on the situation, and they both are trying to realistically do the correct thing. The way that they try doing everything usually tries to cause a lot more problems than it's going to be even having whatsoever. But in the end, Lex's desire for control and the belief in human superiority is always going to get him to that point that he is never going to be able to work with Superman at any point, and is always going to be trying to stop him from doing any specific thing that's going to even possibly help the entirety of the human race. It's just going to be one of those situations where they just can't ever coexist in almost any actual true standpoint, because of the fact that they see so differently on so many things. Their contrasting ideologies just really set up the true grounding for their rivalry for that specific fact. Clark always being this character that specifically valued protection of overall else, and Lex trying to value his desire for control, just set them on two diverging paths that, from the point that they were friends to the point that they needed to get to in their lives, there was always going to be this junction where they had to walk two separate paths that were going to be colliding with each other at any given point in time. Lex and Superman's relationship really just causes a very strong dynamic of powerful versus the powerless. Superman's various abilities that he has been granted due to having and being inside of Earth really just doesn't resonate with Lex. The way that he has all of these extra normal abilities that just give him the almost the exact ability to become a god over the entire world, but chooses not to, doesn't sit right with Lex whatsoever. Having all of these inhuman abilities just basically kind of granted to him, Lex doesn't like that. I'm going to keep saying that. So Lex is reliance on technology and his intuition and almost everything that he can, just really is a situation where he is trying to show the world that they don't need to be reliant on somebody when the humans can do the exact same job. Lex creating these tech suits, these mech suits that are meant to outpower Superman. These super suits that just are supposed to be able to show that we can do the exact same thing he's doing without him. We can do this ourselves, trying to show that humans are able to stand on their own 2 feet without the help from all of these extra normal beings like the Justice League, without the help from all of these superheroes and all of these people that might obviously sometimes have their own other interests. Yes, they're heroes, so they're trying to truly help everybody. But Superman just being this high above everybody else, being somebody that's not even from Earth, being the main thing that kind of is setting the way and paving this road, is just something that humans as a whole shouldn't be able to abide. Humans shouldn't be able to even consider thinking like this makes any perfect sense in any standpoint whatsoever because of this singular fact. There's no reason that humans should even ever consider accepting a bargain or somebody this powerful as their super savior and as their active basic king above all else. Their symbol of peace when somebody like him will be able to do that exact same job. So, what can I say? These two characters are characters that are truly never going to get along in almost any point ever again. Even though they started off as these characters that truly had a nice, true relationship, the rivalry that has grown between them has set the stage for so many different stories and has set the stage for them two as a specific pairing that nothing can ever truly top. Their relationship, the way that everything has been orchestrated in every storyline in comics since really the beginning of their run, since the introduction of Lex Luthor as the character that he has become today, has set this path that has truly led them to being the two most iconic characters in comics history. That's truly why I believe that these two characters have a perfect rivalry because there's so much backstory, because there's so much context between them that gives these two characters a true meaning behind all of the fights, a true meaning behind the weight of all of their actions between one another that would never be seen in almost any of the other actual pairings that we've seen. Yes, we have characters like Batman and Joker, the Flash and Reverse Flash, but between all of these characters, they don't have a true history between them before that they actually had to deal with anything. Yes, Reverse Flash is usually just trying to mess up Barry's life for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And the Joker has his obsession with the Batman, but the backstory behind Lex and Superman's true hatred between him, them, like well, between Lex and Superman, and Superman's desire to truly just save almost everybody, including Lex, is a situation where they have set so much of a scene, set so much of a perfect pace that there is no one that can ever tell me that these two characters weren't perfectly made for each other, that they weren't just perfectly molded for the world's best creation in comics. So please just tell me what you guys think about these two characters, and if you guys have any other characters that you think match this level of rivalry and this level of actual symbiosis between them. But if you guys did enjoy this video, as I've already said, make sure leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you guys can get caught up with all of these videos. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.